The Florida Gators should be hiring Lane Kiffin. Instead, they're interviewing John Sumrall today. Oh, wait. Rat poison. Not happening.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Thursday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find all my written work about the Florida Gators, which, by the way, lifelong fan at swampsignal.substack.com. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. And the Florida Gators, like I mentioned, should be hiring Lane Kiffin. And reports came out yesterday that, hey, today they'd be interviewing John Sumrall. And then about 13 seconds later, reports came out and they were like, no, that's not happening. Here's the thing. The John Sumrall stuff, and I know that reports have come out of, well, there was a scheduled interview, meeting, whatever you want to call it, and that got canceled once it went public. And there's other reports that are, well, it was actually never going to happen. I don't know where that report came from. I'll say this. We spoke about John Sumrall on this show pretty much immediately after Billy Napier got fired. I don't know if that interview was ever supposed to happen. I don't usually know, hey, this guy's coming in for an interview, this guy's coming in for a meeting. I don't usually know that stuff, so I can't answer that stuff. What I can tell you is that from people I've spoken to, it was never really like, hey, John Sumrall's right there for us. Like John Sumrall's the guy or a guy that's high up on our list. I think he's a hell of a coach. Also, we've spoken about him again multiple times. I think he's a hell of a coach. I had just never heard of it before that report, and then it, of course, changed immediately. I will say this for the Lane Kiffin stuff. I'm not a big, hey, let's sit and chat on the phone forever. And yesterday, by the way, if you're part of the subtext group, you got all this information last night. If you're not part of the subtext group and you want to be, go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators or go to the link in the description below. I'm not a big talk on the phone guy, but yesterday I spent probably more time than I've ever been on the phone in a single day, not including times where I've been, waiting on hold for hours. College, banks, doctors, you know how it goes, right? So without that, I would just say ton of time on the phone. First, before we even talk about any details or anything, everything is always subject to change. Okay? From the time I record this to the time I publish this, which there will not be a big gap between that, I can tell you that. We're cutting it close right now. Things can change. That's why I've waited so long to talk about it, because things can change like that. Again, everything can change by the minute at this point. From everything I've gathered about Lane Kiffin, LSU, Florida, Ole Miss, anything else, and I've spoken to people from all three school sides. Like I've spoken to people on Florida side, LSU side, Ole Miss's side. Obviously, not naming names on anything. And there's some stuff that will not come out, but spoken to people on all sides, and I've spoken to people who don't have a side in this, right? Like they're just people that know things, get told things, but aren't involved in stuff, things like that, right? From Florida's side, Florida feels really good. That has not changed. That's been the case. From LSU's side, LSU feels really good. That has not changed. That has been the case. Okay? That's an important, just remember that both sides feel really good. Okay? I've said this, I think 1,000 times before when we've talked about this hire. Money's going to be thrown around. From the moment we started talking about Lane Kiffin, we started talking about how, well, wherever he winds up, even if that's staying at Ole Miss, he's probably about to become the highest paid coach in college football. That's not news. That's we know that. He's probably about to become the highest paid coach in college football, whether he stays or goes. It's not about who's going to do that. It's not about that. Okay. There are different things in what Lane Kiffin might be valuing in this. There are different things that Lane Kiffin will prioritize in this. And what we've talked about here since Jump Street was that I don't think this is a money thing. I don't think this is a power thing. I think wherever Lane Kiffin goes or stays, he's going to get the maximum resources available from that program. If that's staying at Ole Miss, he's going to get their maximum. And their maximum's not nothing, right? Like how much it could be sustained, we'll see. But their maximum's not nothing. Their maximum is close. Okay? Really close. And the financials tend to just work themselves out, right? With this kind of stuff. So that's all there. Okay? This is going to come down to where Lane thinks he can be the best Lane Kiffin, I think. I think that this is right now about Lane's chance to say, how can I solidify myself as a great? That's what it is, right? People are always going to talk about Lane Kiffin as the offensive mind or for the offensive mind that he is, right? No one's going to deny that Lane is an incredible offensive mind, and people like he's going to be remembered for that at the absolute minimum. But you know, it's no secret. He grew up, idolizing Steve Spurrier. He did. Like that, he's said it before too. He's like, that's my guy. It's Steve Spurrier. I wanted to be Steve Spurrier. And Steve Spurrier is remembered for being an incredible offensive mind, right? Fun and gun. But Steve Spurrier is also remembered for winning national championships or national championship. Like he's remembered for having that ring at the University of Florida, by the way. That's what he's remembered for. And right now, Lane is known as, he's a great offensive mind, right? Everyone respects his mind. Nick Saban brought him in to revolutionize the offense, and that's the biggest cosign you can get, right? Is Nick Saban came to you for the help there. And so, to me, I think this is going to come down to Lane Kiffin saying, I want to be remembered as a great. I want to be remembered as a great offensive mind that won a lot of football games, even at lesser universities. And I went and won a national championship then, or 2, or 3, or 4. I don't care. We could LeBron James this thing if we want. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's not money. I don't care what anyone tells me financially. I've heard financials on all three sides. Obviously, we'll say, just for the obvious here, source could be wrong about things, right? Could be wrong about the actual specific numbers. And the numbers from the time that I record this to the time a contract gets signed, probably going to go up, honestly. So we could say that. The numbers are going to be there. It's about where he's going to go, what he's going to do. Everybody feels really good about it. This is Lane needing to figure out where he thinks he can make that happen about being a great. I firmly believe that. And again, we've talked about that. Like, money doesn't matter here in the sense of who's paying more, who's paying what the state income tax is. That doesn't matter. I think the more important number would be, I'll call it investments, right? Whether you want to call that NIL, assistant coaches pool, whatever it's going to be, that kind of stuff. I'll say that's the more important number, I think, than the salary itself. Because salary is going to be the salary, right? Florida, LSU, great programs, great recruiting grounds. They're at the top. I don't care for this conversation of which one's better. I think they're both tier 1 jobs in college football. Okay. So I'll say that money doesn't matter there. I believe that there isn't a decision made right now where there's, again, people on all sides talking real confident about what is going on. I don't buy it. And I'm not trying to do the conspiracy theorist thing. I still personally feel really good about Florida's chances. I do. And again, I'm saying this based as from what I've been told from everybody I've spoken to, I still feel really good about Florida's chances. Okay. I still view Florida as the favorite. Not by like this huge margin, but I still view Florida as the favorite at this point in time. So I will say that. But I personally, I don't think Lane Kiffin truly knows what he's doing yet. And that's not a bad thing, right? Like I am very open with recruits, with coaches. I think it's really important to make the right decision on a lot of these things. And so if Lane's taking his time to do that, Lane's taking the time to do that. But I personally do not think that Lane Kiffin has an answer for what he's doing yet. And again, that's okay. I think that at the absolute latest, this will drag on about 8 more days, maybe 9. But I don't think that we're going to wait much longer than that for an answer. And I know a lot of people are fatigued by it. That is what it is. As with all life, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But like I said, like I don't think that this is. I don't think Lane knows what he's doing yet. And go back to the beginning of this show when I talked about how both sides feel really confident here. That is what makes me think that's one of the things that makes me really confident that Lane doesn't have an answer yet. Because there are a lot of people that feel really confident about them getting Lane Kiffin or them keeping Lane Kiffin. And one side will be right. One side will be right. Or we could say one side is right, right? I don't think that side actually knows what side they are. And whenever they are proven right, they'll go, I was right all along. But really, I don't think anybody knows because there's no way that every side involved feels really great and really strong and really confident in what's about to happen here, whatever that may be. I personally do not believe that Lane Kiffin knows what he's doing yet. I don't have an issue with that at all. I think that's fair. I would rather you do that than rush something and make a bad decision. But that's where I am planted on this Lane Kiffin stuff right now. And oh my goodness, it is a wild ride. And I'm having a hell of a time, by the way. Thank you all for showing support and joining. The subtext has seen quite a bit of growth during this time. My Substack has seen quite a bit of growth during this time. Channel obviously has seen quite a bit of growth after this time. We passed 9,000 subscribers, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I meant to mention that at the top of the show. We passed 9,000 subscribers. We're about to be joined by Florida Gators tight end Hayden Hansen when we get back with Locked On Gators. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you know how I know when the NBA is back? What the big indicator that the NBA is back to me? I made my own fault. I will put my hand up and blame here. I made the stupid decision to bet on Cam Johnson, and that has never worked out for anybody. I don't know why I did it. Don't know. Stupid decision. Hate myself for it. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. And Hayden, unfortunately, we have to do this again. What happened on Saturday night against Ole Miss?
I mean, it was just a hard-fought game, players showed up, coaches showed up, fought till the end. But, I mean, again, in this league, it just comes down to the little details. And there was a little bit of key moments where we turned the ball over and whatnot that ultimately gave them the slight upper hand to squeeze that one out. But I'm proud of the way the guys showed up and fought.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a game that I think, I mean, just to be frank about it, I think a lot of people thought Lane Kiffin is coaching against Florida, who no secret. Florida's interested in Lane Kiffin. He's going to try to put on a show, and he's going to try to run up the score if possible. And that didn't happen, right? Like that didn't happen. What was it like for you guys at halftime where you go into the break with a 24-20 lead on the road against Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, we're not strangers to having the lead in the first half, and that was kind of the message we were saying is we got to finish this time. We have to go in there. We know they're going to make adjustments. We're going to make adjustments. We can't let this lead get to us. We have to go out there and finish the game, and that was kind of the message that was repeated out throughout the locker room.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, didn't finish this time, right? You guys got shut out in the second half. This season, averaging just 5.2 points per game in the second half. What is it coming out of not just this halftime, but seemingly most halftimes where the offense, whether they're on fire in the first half like they were against Ole Miss, or struggling where for some reason the second half just comes out and it's just not the same?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to they have coaches too, and once they figure out what or how to stop what happened in the first half, you got to have more things to fall back on. You have to play mistake-free football because, I mean, you give the ball back to any team in the SEC, they're going to make you pay most of the time, especially in close games like that. It just comes down to execution. I mean, it's kind of been the theme all year. We just have to go out there and execute better. And I mean, I just don't see quit on the team though. I will say that, which I'm very proud of. I mean, we went out there and fought. It just hasn't popped off yet.
Yeah, and I was going to ask this later, but since you mentioned, you haven't seen quit in this team yet, you guys are now, at best, winning 5 games this year, one short of bowl eligibility. As players, how do you kind of stay focused on the task at hand now that there's no postseason to look forward to? Because, at the start of the year, it was everybody, I think, in Gator Nation was like, okay, this is a team that should be contending for the playoffs. That didn't happen. And then it was like, all right, well, this is a team that should make a bowl game. And then that didn't happen. So now that the postseason's out of the question, or I think there's still like a slim chance where if there's not enough 6-win teams and a 5-win team can get in. But realistically, postseason's out of the question. How do you guys stay focused and on the task at hand?
I mean, there's still a lot to play for, I mean, Tennessee's coming down to the Swamp. They haven't won since the year I was born. So we got to defend that. We don't want to be the team that gives up that streak. And then the last game of the week is FSU, and that's always a big one, So, I mean, there's just 2 big games on the line that it's not – you could – those are always games you throw the records out of the window anyways, and you play for pride. You always know, regardless of if someone's ranked or not, it's always going to be a close game. That's how rivalries are. So there's still a lot to play for these next 2 games, pride-wise, especially that last week against FSU.
I just want you to know that you probably just got mentally cussed out by everybody for mentioning that you were born in 2003. I just want to throw that out there that everybody's probably just like, oh, great, now I feel old, because I had that thought and I know I'm not old. So thanks for that one for giving everybody that. But as far as, you mentioned that they haven't won in the Swamp in a very, very long time. How does that kind of weigh on the mentality going into this game of just like is that it? You're just like, we can't be the team that gives it to them even when Tennessee's been way up and Florida's been down, Florida has still won in the Swamp.
Yeah, I mean, it goes along with the pride and playing for the guys that came before you, I mean, there's a sense of urgency there, I mean, that's a long time. I mean, I'm 22 years old, 2003. I mean, that's a lot of games. So, I mean, again, you don't ever want to be that team that lets it happen there, and we still have a lot to fight for. I mean, we still want to prove that we're a good team and we go out there and beat anybody in the nation, and we beat Tennessee and FSU. That'll be a good way to end the season.
Yeah. And what's prep been like for Tennessee week? Because they're also, I know more so defensively is different with Tennessee's their Brile spread that they got going on over there. So I know that preparing for them defensively is different, but what's offensive prep been like so far for this week?
Yeah, I mean, offensive prep, I mean, it's about been the same, Monday was more of a scout practice, early game plan, things like that, just kind of catering around some injuries, figuring out where to put some guys, just the usual stuff. I mean, nothing's changed. I don't think anything will change till the end of the year. That's one of the biggest things that this staff wanted to do after Napier got fired was keep it very similar so nobody got thrown off their rhythm or their game day habits and things like that.
Yeah, and I know that, there's only so much that you can say about things like this, but it felt like the start of the year, you and DJ Lagway were on the same page a lot, right? Like you guys were connecting on most of your targets were completions. Despite, whatever he was dealing with clearly wasn't fully healthy. You could watch the film, watch the tape, you could see he's not fully healthy. As the year's gone on, he's gotten healthier, but it feels like for some reason, somewhere, there's a recent disconnect, right? In recent weeks between you and DJ. There was, the you had a drop against Kentucky, and that was on you. Ole Miss, first play of the game. I know it like barely hit your hand, but I don't consider that a drop. I consider that a not easily catchable ball that, in my opinion, should have been a catchable ball. So it feels like for whatever reason, there's just a disconnect. What's going on there? If there's anything that you can genuinely explain to us.
Yeah, well, I mean that the Kentucky job that was Trammell, so that wasn't even DJ. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think it just kind of I think it just happens sometimes. Like in the Ole Miss game, weren't on the same page. I think I was targeted 5 times, only had 2 catches. That's a problem. That one before 2 minute, I let the guy knock it out of my hands, and then obviously the first play of the game, I tried to get what I could on it. I mean, if it touches my hands, I've got to find a way to catch it. And then there was a couple more just kind of out of bounds that I tried to snag. And I mean, he even told me on the sidelines that we got to work on it. We got to get the chemistry back. I really don't know what happened because you're right. I mean, the first half of the season, we were connected on everything. I was kind of his security outlet. And obviously in the Ole Miss game, he was still looking at me as that. But we just got to figure out a way to get these catches down. And it starts this week in practice, and we got to get it fixed.
I'm glad you mentioned the one by the sideline because from the TV angle, couldn't really see what happened. From the end zone angle, like the all 22 angle, couldn't really see what happened. So glad that you pointed that out because I know there were people that thought that was just a straight up drop. And I didn't think it was just again couldn't see what happened, but thought it was someone getting their hands in there. And we started this last week. Like I said, we're going to keep doing this for the rest of the season. What do you think of your performance versus Ole Miss specifically? Where do you think you played well, could improve, whatever it is, whatever you think about your performance?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the run blocking was great. I think the pass pro was great. But, I mean, obviously when you get targeted 5 times, only come up with it twice, regardless of what it was, you got to figure out ways to get it fixed, I mean, I feel like the route running was there. The play calls were there. But at the end of the day, I got to figure out how to catch the ball, even if it is thrown outside my frame. And even if I touch it with a finger, I got to figure out how to catch it. At the end of the day, it falls on me, and I got to get it fixed. And that'll be my main focus at practice this week is kind of maybe getting some reps, catching some uncharacteristic balls with just like some assistant coaches, having them throw some like awkward balls, things like that. But I mean, that's one thing from the game that's obviously that I've got to get fixed.
Yeah, and I will say before we wrap this up, I feel like as a unit, the entire trenches have and look, they face a ton of criticism, right? I've been very open about it. I think that there are 2 games that I point out and I say that was really bad blocking, which is Miami and A&M. I think those games were just they beat you up front, right? But I do feel like in recent weeks, especially, you guys have kind of found a pretty consistent rhythm in pass pro, whether that's you with the line or just the line in general. What goes into being able to consistently go? And it does seem like you guys have fixed I will call them communication issues that were going on in the first month of the season, which I thought was pretty, like the LSU game had so many free rushers coming in and it just looked like miscommunication there. So how did you guys kind of correct that where it was really rough to start the year?
Yeah, I mean, It just comes with reps, you know. Obviously, we would have liked to have it click after fall camp. I mean, that was obviously the plan, but I think after that second bye week, it really clicked. A lot of guys, the guys that were struggling with some calls and with some blown assignments, really kind of figured it out. We had less penalties up front too. I mean, we'll still have one every now and then, but nowhere near as bad as it was the first half. And yeah, once it all clicks, I mean, it becomes a lot easier for the big men, you know, because I mean, they have a harder time changing direction. So if they're unsure and they have to change direction, that's when you see problems. But when they know exactly what they're doing, they can get a full head of steam. I mean, you don't want to take that on all game. And I think that's where you're seeing us get a lot of movement, and especially with a back like Jaden Ball. I mean, it's a very physical run game, and the more we do it, the more teams will get tired and lay down.
Yeah, and one last question is, Florida under the Napier era has always rotated offensive linemen. Not every lineman, but I think this year we're seeing a lot of right tackle, left guard changes. I think Ole Miss was the first time we didn't see any right guard shift. It was Damian George the whole time. How does that, as a tight end, impact you to work with those players? Because we know in pass pro and run blocking, you need to communicate specifically, I guess more so with the right tackle in this case, whether that's Caden Jones or Bryce Lovett. That's something you need to communicate with and have chemistry with. But usually guys just need to go, all right, I need to have chemistry with just the starting tackles here. It's not that at Florida for you. Like you've got to have it with Austin Barber on the left side. You've got to have it with Caden Jones on the right side and Bryce Lovett on the right side. So how does that work as far as chemistry and timing go for you guys blocking specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a learning curve in fall camp. Everyone communicates different. Everybody has their different ways of saying things. Some are more quiet, some are more loud, some are more obvious. So it just depends. And I mean, I definitely have to know who's in at what time. Cause sometimes I need to be more verbal, or sometimes I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to follow this guy's call or whatever. So yeah, I mean, at this point in the season, it's all clicking. It's easy either way. I mean, I have no problem making the call every time. I've been in the offense for a while now. I know how it all works. I know what to expect. So at the end of the day, we just got to go out there and get it done.
Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen. Thank you, Hayden Hansen, for joining us. This is Florida Gators starting tight end. Catch him every week on the field for your Florida Gators and every week on Locked On Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free every single podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow at the absolute latest to talk more about Florida Gators and Tennessee Volunteers game on Saturday. As always, I am Brandon Olsen for Locked On Gators. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day and every day. Available daily, free. Wherever you listen to the podcast, just say like, subscribe, comment, review, do whatever it is you want to do. And I'll see you all next time.